from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Now we have Dana Cottrell that'll be coming on to the broadcast here in just a moment. Dana Cottrell here with us on the broadcast, and very happy to have Dana here at 9, right here around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And Dana, I got to say this to you. Dana played linebacker at Syracuse. He went on to play for the Patriots as well in the NFL. You got a big fan base, Mr. Cottrell. I will tell you that without any shadow of a doubt. When I put up that you were going to be on the broadcast, the amount of tremendous response that we got about you and you being on the show and people supporting it, people loving it, was insane. Did you know that you had a lot of love out there like that?
Only love I know is from my daughter right now, so I did not know that. But look, I think it's more of a testament to being part of a good organization over the years and participating in college football at a great university. So it's not just me, it's collective. It's everybody, from the Dan Conleys of the world to the Nate Hemsleys to the Mike Browns to the Donovan McNabb. So it's a unit, man, and we're a family. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand,
Speaking here with Dana Cottrell, played linebacker at Syracuse. He's here with us at inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning on Wednesday, November 28th. We're speaking on Syracuse's successes, Eric Dungy, Dino Babers, the bowl season, and so much more. Dana, I got to ask you, because you and I met for the first time face-to-face when you came up to the Florida State game, when there was some love and appreciation for yourself and Kyle McIntosh, Rob Conrad, and Corey Bowen, and so on and so forth, and Donovan McNabb, and just everything that you guys did as members of the Big East and the championships that were won. Going back to that experience, and not only being back at Syracuse, but seeing the Orange defeat Florida State 30-7, what did that moment show to you? Did you have an inkling that this team was going to get somewhere? Has it been a consistent surprise? Where do you kind of stand in the grand scheme of things from that moment where you got to be honored and then watch Syracuse win that game? Did you get a feel that something was coming, or has that just kind of happened over time for you?
You could just tell that something special was about to happen. And if you rewind the clock a little bit, look, when Dino came in, there was a tremendous amount of passion, and there was a tremendous amount of support around him. Everybody wants things to happen now in life, right? And we have to understand there's a process to everything. I think, how we got to this point we're at now is the things that were put in place, and the kid and the team actually committing to these things. Going back to the weight room, being healthy. I mean, you walk into that weight room now and you talk with the weight coach, and he just makes you feel excited about things. And you look at the definition of these guys now. They're longer, stronger. They're not getting injured, with the exception of Dungy here and there. We know why that happens. But I think the process is now playing out. The first 2 years were tough. And, the 3, 4 wins or whatever it was. But now, the belief in the system, the work that they put in over the last couple of years, you can see this trending in the right direction now. Last year when we beat Clemson, that was huge. I think that was a game that said, hey, that put a mindset in the guys that hey, we can compete at this level in this conference. And then you fast forward to this year. I mean, there's 3 games on the 3 games this season that were, with the exception of Notre Dame, we just didn't show up. But if you look at the other 2 games that we lost, Clemson, that was a winnable game. Pittsburgh, I mean, it was the week after Clemson, so it was a little bit of a fallback, but that was a winnable game. But you can see this progressing over time. So I just think belief in the system, guys trusting what Dino asked them to do, and you can see it coming, man. You can really see it coming.
Speaking here with Dana Cottrell, like you said, you could see it coming. You could see good things happening for this team. Dino Babers, 4-8 in his first season, 4-8 in his second. got a win over Virginia Tech, top 25 in his first, got a win over Clemson in his second, reigning national champion at the time, ranked second in the nation at the time. And then this year, 9-3 in the regular seasons. First time Syracuse has won at least 9 games since 2001 when they went 10-3 under Paul Pasqualoni. What can you say about the Dino Babers factor at this point?
Dude, the energy that he brings to this team is tremendous. Look, he's now known for his post-game locker room speeches, right? I mean, I watch him over and over and over again. The guy's energy it's contagious, and you can see it spreading all across the organization, all across the university, from the coaches to the players. There's a few things that people kind of overlook a lot of times. Like, there's a good group of kids on this team. Like, you never hear any negative media about these guys. These guys are doing the right things. They're going to class. They're in the weight room. They're doing the right things on the field. Like, that's part of the process. So, and that's always coming. That's coming from from the mindset and the platform that Dino's put in place. So I think these guys are following suit, and I look. It's tough on a head coach's first 2 years in a new organization, in a new community. I think this guy's kind of overachieved in a big way.
Speaking here with Dana Cottrell, played for Syracuse at linebacker and went on to play with the Patriots as well inside of the NFL. Dana, when you look at the camaraderie, the brotherhood that you have that you got to come back to for that Florida State game, did you get a sense of that from the team? Are you seeing that from the current team, that love, that brotherhood, that connection, that togetherness? Are you getting a feel for that as well?
I am, and it was where you really see it is, I had an opportunity to, walk through the weight room and see those guys working out. I had an opportunity to see, a walkthrough in practice, and these guys are like brothers. They like each other, and they're committed to one goal, and that's what it takes to win. I mean, I don't care if it's in business. I don't care if it's on the football field, in any aspect of life. You can see that camaraderie, and you can see that those guys melding together, and everyone has a common goal, and that's to win. And it's really exciting to see, because I think we lost that in the early 2000s, and that was very, very frustrating under a few other few different head coaches. But I think you're seeing that now, and like I said, it's as a parent, we want to set our kids up and put the right structure and mindset in place early on. And I think Dino was able to do that, and you can see that in the reaction and how tight these guys are as a group.
And when we see, the successes of this Syracuse team, I want to go to Eric Dungey and the Eric Dungey factor for a second here. Just what you could say about Eric. I mean, he has not finished a season in those first 3 seasons, and then it looked like he wasn't going to be able to finish this season due to injury as well, and has back spasms. He's in the hospital. A late decision in the week to put him out there. 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing. Just what you can say about not only him playing in the game, but him dominating in the game, in a game where he, the last 3 seasons, has not been able to play and not been able to, finish up his season. This time around, he said, nope, I'm not going through it again. It's not going to happen to me again. I'm finishing this season. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to get it done, and damn it if he didn't do it. What can you say about the Dungey factor and the fact that he finally got to finish a regular season?
If I had to categorize, Dunge with one word, I would say resilient. This kid, he sacrifices his body, man. And quarterbacks around NFL, quarterbacks around college football, they're needed. He's essential. He's essential to running that offense. He's essential to preparation during the week. The kid's resilient, man. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. For him to finish the season after some of the injuries and some of the hits that he took, it's in his DNA, man. And, we're lucky to have him. Look, DeVito came in when he had to come in, and he did a great job. But this guy creates a different type of factor when he's on the football field. You can see the energy in him. He's fired up all the time. When a play has to get made, like, you're never going to say he's not trying to make that play. So I think the guy is resilient, and I think he's definitely the core identity on that team.
When you see the way he plays and how he goes about his business and putting his body on the line, and as much as he runs the ball, do you make him an NFL quarterback? If you are in the NFL, do you give him a shot? Do you give him an opportunity?
I'm not a NFL GM, but I think with the intangibles that he has, there's a spot for him somewhere. You can kind of go back to the Tebow days or whatever. He's got character. He's got toughness. Obviously there's things he's got to work on. There's things that everyone who goes from the collegiate level to the NFL that they have to work on. Would I give him a shot? Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think, with a heart and the resiliency and the toughness that he has, like those are things that you can't coach. Those are things that are in your DNA a bit. So I would absolutely give him a shot.
And as we look forward here, we're still waiting on where the bowl is going to be played. I have heard from sources close to the situation that I trust that the Camping World Bowl would make sense. I already had them at 9 wins going down to Florida. They deserve a warm weather bowl, in my opinion. So the Camping World Bowl is at Camping World Stadium, the old Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. And I have them Syracuse, West Virginia. Some have Syracuse, Iowa State. Some don't have them in this one. What do you think about that? It's a December 28th bowl, so it's close to a New Year's bowl. It's, after Christmas. It's a 5 p.m. game. It's going to be on television. It's in Orlando, Florida. What would you think about that opportunity for Syracuse to be down in Orlando? And do they deserve to be in warm weather and get off this conversation that they have to go back to Yankee Stadium and play in the Pinstripe Bowl again?
I think they absolutely deserve it. Like, you think about, the outcome of what's going to happen with Clemson and where they go. I think we've proved to the nation that we deserve to be in that game. And quite frankly, I would love to see us versus West Virginia.
And what would you like to – it's a high-scoring, high-powered offense, so obviously, that creates something. Will Grier is on that side. A lot of people loving Will Grier nationally and as a potential NFL quarterback moving forward. What can you say about why you would really like to see West Virginia?
You go back to the old Big East days, man. Going into Morgantown, like I remember, I believe it was my senior year going down there. It was actually my junior year going down there. And we put a pretty good whooping on them. But that's just an old school rivalry going back to the Big East days. And two of these teams that are, obviously us and Syracuse, that we're climbing the ranks here. It would just be, I think, a really good outcome. I think the fan base would love to see it, just for a number of factors. One of them being that old school Big East matchup. And I tell you what, I'm gonna try to get a plane ticket if that happens.
The fans, that's been something that comes into question. Obviously, when it comes to these games, you want them to be fair games, and you want the players to go where they're supposed to go, and teams to go where they're supposed to go and represent what they're supposed to represent. But unfortunately, with all these bowl games, they look at ticket sales and who can we sell the most of, and who could sell merchandise and do this and do that. So maybe this team deserves to be there, but maybe this isn't the right area to have them. What can you say to the Syracuse fan base and what they need to hear about this, that if they are in Orlando, Florida, just what your words are to, because I think, I've been around the world. My mom works in the world of flight travel, and so I know very, very, very well that upstate New Yorkers, especially around this time of year, love going down to Disney, love getting away, love getting in the warm weather, don't care if it's 60, don't care what's going on because it isn't the snow. So I think it's an easy sellable thing from my world. What do you want to say to the fans and the notion that the fans don't show up? What can you say to that factor? We know that there's Syracuse fans all over the world, but when it comes to football, it's taken a little bit of time. So what do you want to tell the fans about if they get this game down in Orlando?
You were there at we were up there at the Florida State game, and you saw a different type of resurgence of the fan base in that game. You know what happens when the fans get behind our team, like we rally. First and foremost, it's going to be probably -12 in Syracuse on the 28th of December. Open your gifts and get down to Florida, man. Open your gifts, get down to Florida, support the team. Like, this game is critical. Like, every game's critical, and this is the next game. But this game's critical to us. We haven't been to a bowl game. We haven't been ranked. Like, we need that fan base to rally behind us. We need that fan base to get down there and be a big support factor in that stadium, whatever stadium it is. If it's Florida, wherever it's going to be, we need that fan base behind us. And I think they're coming around, man. You're starting to see it. Look, I know from just talking to old players that I've played with, there's a different type of excitement now. Like, as soon as we got ranked, I can't tell you how many text messages I got, how many messages I got on social media about, wow, we're back. Well, let's prove it, man. Like, we got to be involved. The fans got to be involved. It's not just the team. It's not just Dino. Like, they need our support. So, look, it's going to be cold in Syracuse on the 28th, and if we go to this Orlando Bowl, I'm going to be there. So I expect to see a good turnout from our fan base.
Absolutely. Speaking here with Dana Cottrell, Syracuse linebacker in their history, as well as a linebacker inside of the NFL. Linebacker-wise, Dana, what can you say? I mean, Ryan Guthrie has gotten some accolades, some honors from the All-ACC teams, and some respect there being put on the second team for defense. What have you seen from this linebacker group, from the Kylan Whitners and the Ryan Guthries of the world and whatnot? What have they shown you? Because that was kind of sticking out like a sore thumb to some people, but now there's some respect out there and some respect throughout the conference for it. So, as a former linebacker, what do you think about these guys?
I think they're great. Up front, you can start from the front four. You can start those two defensive ends. I mean, they're creating havoc up there, man. They get into the quarterback. They're setting the edge. I think at the linebacker position, these guys are really athletic, and college football itself has changed over the years. Like, when I was there, and when Nate was there, and when Dan Connolly was there, and Glenn Young, inside the tackles, that's what we were worried about. Now it's a passing game. Guys are going down the field, and these guys are super athletic. They're really good about getting their checks. They're really good about kind of being in their coverages, and they're the leaders of that defense. And there's some young guys out there too, and in the secondary. And I think those guys look up to this unit, and these guys have performed all year long, man.
When you see this team grow and blossom, and the only game that they got blown out of was the Notre Dame game. Clemson has not lost in Death Valley since the end of 2016. They had them on the ropes at the end of the game. They went to overtime against Pittsburgh. Both of the teams that they played so close that they lost to in the ACC are going on to play in the ACC championship game. What does that say about the Orange?
It says we were close. That's what it says. I mean, Clemson, I was jumping off my couch watching that game, and we all know what it came down to. And you're like, look, you can't ever say it's one play in the course of a game that kind of yields the outcome, because you got to play 4 quarters. Those games are winnable, and that's what makes it really exciting about what's going to happen next year, or the opportunity that we have next year. When we put the pads on. Like, look, I don't want to look past this next game. But I think there's going to be some real excitement around, Syracuse football going into 2019. And the respect level from other teams in the conference has to have skyrocketed. So that's a big thing, man. So, you look at those two games. I have a sheet sitting in front of me, and I have those two games circled right there. Look, Notre Dame was what it was, man. But Clemson, Pittsburgh, those two games, those are winnable games, and it came down to a few detailed things, and that's what football is about. You got to get the details right, and you got to be doing your job every single play, and sometimes it goes the other way. So look, I look at those two games, and I look at the teams in this conference, which it's a very, very strong conference. Look, I think we can beat anybody in this conference. So obviously, we let those two slip, and I'm gonna scratch out Notre Dame, but those two games to me were key games, especially Clemson. Even though we beat them last year, but for us to be down there in Clemson and have that thing that close, and really have an opportunity to win it, tells you something about this team and their resiliency.
That coming from Dana Cottrell, former Syracuse linebacker, and Dana too. The hashtag #PayDino has come up a bunch of times here. What are your thoughts on Dino Babers, and if he if he has done enough, if Syracuse has to find a way. How do you view this whole thing? Some people think it's a no-brainer. Other people may be on the fence, and the school says it doesn't have the money, or it's hard to get the money, or whatever it may be. Things that come up in the background from time to time. What can you say about this situation and this hashtag Pay Dino that's out there?
Make it happen. Dino, I think, has recreated the identity of Syracuse football in 3 years. And let's rewind the clock a little bit. Post-Pasqualoni years, no one else has done that. No one else has done that. Everybody came in and could try to put their thing in place and bounced. This guy is he's put his heart on the line. He's put his reputation on the line. And you're seeing results now. You can't let this go. You can't let it go. Now, look, everything's got to be fair. I get it. But I think you got to make it happen. You got to figure out a way to make it happen. I know it's definitely it's definitely on the AD's mind. It has to be. And he's a great guy, and he understands the passion around Syracuse football in Central New York. And I'm sure he's having some deep thoughts and hard conversations. But for me, I want to see it happen.
What outside of obviously winning games, what else do you like about Dino Babers and the way he goes about his business?
He's quiet about it, man. He's not flashy. He's passionate. I think he's got a quiet swagger about him, right? It's not out in the public, but when you see these post-game speeches, you can see what he's all about. You can see what he's all about. I met his family. I met his wife and daughter. Very, very nice people. The guy's grounded, but there's a quiet swag about him, and I think that really, really translate into what's going on in the football field. Hats off to Dino.
Dana, in conclusion here, this team this year has shown you what? What are the best words to describe this team and this senior class that almost hopped out of this place without going to a single bowl game? Commitment.
These guys committed to a system. They're committed to, like I said, look, this just doesn't happen. It's just not the 12 games that they play or the 13 games that they play during the year. This starts early, man. Like, they're going to have a couple months off after this next game, and then they're going to be right back in it. That's when it starts. That's when the work really, really starts to happen. These guys committed. So for me, the word is that's kind of be labeled for me for this team this year was commitment. They committed to the weight room. They committed to the training staff. They committed to the scheme. They committed to Dino's framework around how he wants to be fast and run a lot of play. Dude, they tired people out. A lot of these games that they won, they just couldn't hang with them. They ran too many plays, and that's part of the process. So they committed to the blueprint that Dino put in place, and it's starting to yield benefits, man.
And Syracuse ranked 20th in the college football playoff rankings, 18th in the AP, and 18th in the coaches poll. Seeing them in the top 25 for the first time in the AP and coaches poll together in 17 years, seeing them win at least 9 games for the first time in 17 years, and seeing them in the college football playoff rankings says what to you about where things are at right now, Dana?
We're on our way back, man. This is the name of the game is to put someone in place when someone leaves. This is about recruiting right now. This is key to getting guys. It's hard to get guys to go to Central New York in the cold. You know that. These wins and us being ranked and going to a good bowl game and the passion that they're seeing around the team and around Dino, this is going to help recruiting. And all it takes is 3 or 4 guys a year that can kind of change your talent scheme or your talent spectrum across your team. And I always think back to, when McNabb left. We never really, really replaced him, right?
Yeah.
It's about recruiting. And I think, for what we've done and what we've shown from product on the field the last, even the last 2 years, I would say, even though the record last year didn't reflect it, but you saw progress. I think this is going to help us recruiting tremendously. And that's about, the future of that football team and the future of Syracuse University football.
That coming from Dana Cottrell, part of the past of Syracuse football and part of the present and part of the future, because the brotherhood never dies. Dana, as always, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you being a part of the show. I hope you had a great holiday, and I can't wait to have you back on the broadcast.
Same to you, man. I appreciate you having me, man. It's a pleasure.
And I know they're having a really bad, tumultuous time, but I'm happy that the Jaguars did what I told you they were going to do.
I was going to call you last week, man. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's a great player. Like, he can't be walking up and down the sidelines pointing people out like that.
He's got to shut his mouth. I mean, you could say it on like he has to stop speaking right now. I mean,
he's got to stop and just play because he's very, very, very talented, man. Very talented, and we know what your mouth can do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I was at that Buffalo game, and they were chanting "Ramsey sucks," and he was putting his hands up like "Give me more, give me more." And the thing about Jalen Ramsey is he is so Jalen Ramsey and not the team. And I saw this last year. I mean, I'm in that locker room. I have been in that locker room for the better part of the last 10 years. I am in the locker room with Jalen Ramsey, seeing Jalen Ramsey speak to the media and talk and this and that. And so I get where we're at right now with Jacksonville because I saw the writing on the wall, and I just wonder how long Tom Coughlin, former Syracuse player, is going to put up with, well, you're really good, but you're also a pain in the ass. I mean, I don't know where that bow is going to break, but I feel like it could break sooner than later if Jalen doesn't stop.
No, I totally agree. You can't have poison on your team. You can't have poison in your organization at all, right? He's a great player. Look, bar none, like he can go up against any receiver in the NFL. But at some point, like you said, man, like you can't have that infecting other guys, especially younger guys, right? So look, I know Mr. Coughlin's a hard-nosed guy, so I know he can only take so much to a point. So we'll see what happens, man. But yeah. I still do think that that defense. I mean, you talk about some talented players on that team, man. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, they should be, and they should be winning more games because of it. So we'll see what happens as we go from here. But as always, Dana, like I said, I look forward to talking with you soon. I appreciate you being here today.
Dan, thanks, man.